here at UCD. Um, Kira, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? I don't care.
Um, well, you go first. I'll kick in after you.
All right. So yeah, first off, welcome to campus, such as it is. Um, yeah, it's going to be a weird year this year. I mean, for you guys starting off, it was always going to be, a whole bunch of new stuff going on. And it's just going to be kind of extra interesting given everything that's happening. We didn't find out until around about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock on Friday that as of this week, we're online for this week. We have not been told what happens next week or anything after that. I read the same news that everybody else gets, and until somebody tells me differently, I have no idea what's going on. My best guess is we'll probably be online for the first 2 or 3 weeks until the higher restrictions for Dublin start getting taken off. I don't know exactly, I don't have any idea when it's going to happen. So keep an eye on your email. We'll do everything we can to keep you guys up to date. I find out this stuff pretty much the same time everyone else does. So anyway, welcome to college. It's a university experience is normally a brilliant time. I had so much fun when I was an undergraduate. I decided to go to graduate school, and then I became a prof. And so pretty much I've been in the university system since 1989 at this stage. It's a long time. So, all I'm going to really talk about is I've got a few bits of sort of advice for you as you think about, starting off. The first thing, and I think like the biggest mistake that I see for people that do a degree at UCD is at the end of their 3-4 years, whatever it is, they don't know a single professor. At the end of your time, you're going to want people to write you letters of recommendation. You're going to want advice on what do you do next. And when people ask us for letters of recommendation and we've never actually met them, it's kind of tough for us to write a convincing letter. The most important thing you can do in terms of your studying is talk to us. Ask questions during class. While we're doing this Zoom thing, it may be a little bit weird to try to figure out how we're going to pull that stuff off. But, most of the bigger classes that you're going to have from us are going to have tutorials this term, where you are going to have a little bit more of a chance to ask questions. Talk to us. Drop us an email. We're happy to have a cup of coffee over Zoom or whatever. One day when this hopefully blows over, meeting face to face, getting to know us is important, and it's important for us to know you because, we really do like talking about this stuff. There's a reason we all became academic economists as opposed to professional economists. And it's because we do like the teaching aspect. And at UCD, we really take that part of what we do very seriously. And if you go through your 3 or 4 years and you don't know us and we don't know you, it's really a huge lost opportunity. Students that I've known who were in my classes in the past, I've known some of them now for 20 years as friends. And, it's a really rewarding experience when you have that back and forth. But we can't do that. You guys do need to take the initiative and come talk to us. Ask questions during class. So you'll tell by the accent, I didn't grow up in Ireland. The thing that I find most frustrating about teaching in Ireland is students will never, ever ask a question. And when they do, they're almost always not Irish. There's a reticence to asking a question, which is problematic because we're here to help you learn. Most of us are not trained educators. No one ever taught me how to teach. I picked up tricks through trial and error, but what we are good at is helping you figure stuff out. If there's stuff you don't get, ask, and we will do everything we can to help you look at it from a different direction in order for you to wrap your head around whatever it is you're working on. So just make sure you talk to us. Make sure you ask questions during class. Make sure you drop us emails outside of class. Be aware, we don't answer emails 24/7, but we do get back to you. That communication is really important. And it's doubly important right now because, we have been forced into teaching using a methodology that we've never done before. Yeah, okay, we had 3 or 4, maybe 5 weeks of online lectures last spring. We're still wrapping our heads around this. We're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. If there's something that is working or is not working in a class, let us know so we can try to increase what we do that is paying off. And if there's something that's not working, we can try to rejigger things to make it actually happen, make it work for you. So we are struggling our way through the technology, through online teaching, just like you guys are. It's a learning experience for all of us. And if we don't get feedback from you about how things are going, we're just going to keep plowing ahead. And then at the end of the term, it's going to be a situation where you didn't get what you needed in terms of the learning experience. And we're none the wiser. And so we'll just keep repeating the same mistakes. The other thing that I think is really important in terms of communication is in the surveys that we ran at the end of last year, asking people what they thought about the online teaching aspect of it. Students were perfectly fine with doing online lectures for the most part. I mean, yeah, some people strictly preferred the online lectures, especially because it meant that they didn't have to, put on trousers and go to campus and stuff. Other people really did not care for that. But on the whole, people were actually quite satisfied with that. The thing people really, really missed, and it really blows that you guys aren't even getting the start on this, is they missed the interaction with the other students. They missed going to campus, talking to their mates, talking to other people, taking the same classes they were, asking questions to each other. And I hate to say it, they didn't really miss us, but they missed each other. You guys will be missing each other far more than you'll be missing us. So if there are things that we can do to help create sort of networks, chances for you guys to talk to each other, tell us, help us figure this out, what works in order to get as close to the experience that you guys want as we can, given the technology. So yeah, the first bit of advice I have is ask questions and tell us what's working, what's not. The other bit of advice that I have for you is, and I'm not supposed to say this, but it's not that hard to graduate from university. There's Kira's laughing, but it's that you'll struggle at some point with some material in some classes, but graduating itself isn't that hard. If you want straight A's, you got to put in a lot of effort or be super smart, or probably both. But what that means is, there's plenty of time for stuff outside of studying. Again, it's a weird one this year because all of the on-campus activities at the moment, they're all suspended. What happens in terms of sports clubs, what happens in terms of the economic society and all these other things that you can join. It's harder to do that at the moment because of the restrictions we're under. But these restrictions will come to an end sooner or later. And getting involved is really critical. Getting to, even outside of UCD, find volunteer work to do. Get involved in the community. With university, you're not going to be in lecture from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. 5 days a week. Especially now, there's going to be a lot more flexibility that you have because of us having to do a lot of this stuff online. But what that gives you the flexibility to do is feel out who you think you want to be. Like for me, I'm a musician. If you're a musician, start a band. If you're a dancer, dance. If you are interested in social justice, volunteer. Whatever your interest is, there's somewhere out there for you to start exploring and expanding on those things. University is about classes and it's about, passing classes and it's about graduating at the end. We definitely want you guys to graduate, don't get me wrong. But if you go through the next several years of your life and all you did was read your class notes and read the book and go to lecture, and that's the extent of what you've done, that's a huge lost opportunity. Get to know each other, get to know people who aren't in your bubble from secondary. You know, get to know people from other countries, get to know people who aren't even in university, you know, through community groups, through volunteering. You know, when you guys are the age that you're at, it's kind of one of the last and greatest chances of your life to pretty much do whatever the fuck you want without consequences. I mean, don't go to jail. You know, try to stay out of jail. Don't take pills where you don't know what they were. I don't want anyone dying on my watch. But it really is a chance for you guys to explore, to try new things. And if it doesn't work, you don't have to stick with it. But you know, it's a chance to kind of be the person you think you always wanted to be, and to figure out that's not who you ever really wanted to be, but you want to be somebody else, and then you become that person. You know, it's a time of massive change, you know, and if you don't take full advantage of that opportunity, I think that's a huge, huge mistake. So, you know, yeah, study, go to lectures. Please, dear God, go to lectures. Especially now with having to do everything online, it's going to be tempting to say, yeah, I'll watch that later. And then you're going to try to binge watch the whole thing right before the exam. That's not going to work. Don't do that. But I do think that there's much, much more to the university experience than simply doing lectures. And I really hope you guys take advantage of all of that. So, yeah, I guess that's my advice. Good luck with it, guys. Kira, I'll pass the mic to you.
Okay. Sorry, I hope my internet doesn't crash here. Okay, so very welcome everybody, and congratulations on getting into UCD economics. We're delighted to have you with us. Sorry, I thought I got lost. We're delighted to have you with us. As Ron explained, things are a little bit different this year. So just to introduce myself, I'm Kira Whelan, and I am a Stage 1 coordinator. I reiterate a lot of what Ron says, maybe not all of it, but I reiterate a lot of it. And one thing that's quite important, of course, is communication, okay? Obviously, your first supportive call will be the lecturer. If you're having trouble with a particular module and you're not keeping up, things are getting out of control, and you did, as we all do at times, say, I'll watch that lecture, I'll do that material next week, and then suddenly another week passes, another week. You know, contact your lecturer, tell them you're having trouble, and we're all quite understanding during this particular time. We understand what everybody is going through. And you can also feel free to contact me at Stage 1 Coordinator, okay? If you're unsure of anything, and if you're just feeling swamped, you need extra help or whatever, I'm here. So my details are up on the school website anyway. But you will all know me anyway, because I'm doing the Introduction to Quants module, Econ 10030. So I'll be meeting you all virtually next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. It is very, very difficult for you coming into this environment, doing everything online. It's also difficult for us as practitioners here. It's very different kind of vibe, getting up into a lecture theatre with a couple of hundred students. There you can kind of pick up on individuals are struggling with a concept and so on. But we have tried to change our module delivery around a little bit in account of that. A lot of the stuff is online, but the most important thing and the biggest challenge will be for you to basically from next week on, do a little bit every week, okay? Don't let it pile up, okay? So for every module that you have, log in, check out what's going on, check out what you need to do, all right? Now for your 2 first-year economics modules, we have continuous assessments that are fairly similar. We're going for weekly multiple choice tests, and they're going to be starting in, let me check this, week 4 of term, which is like your third week from when you begin, and that will help you to keep on track of the material. Okay, so we're going to have 8 or 9 multiple choice tests with 8 or 9 questions in each multiple choice test, and it's important that you log in and that you do those things as you go along. Okay, so that in some ways will aid you or help you. And the other thing to note here is that when I meet you on the Wednesday slots, I'll try to, best of my ability, give a chance for you to meet each other, okay, in breakout rooms. And I know you'll be meeting virtually. I know it'll be all on Zoom, but use that occasion to get to know each other's names, put on your cameras within the breakout rooms, have a chat, do a little bit of maths, and then, you know, take each other's emails down, contact each other, and help get through this, help get through your term, help get through the material. And it'll be much, much easier if you can touch base with other students and that you can, you know, kind of help each other with your curriculum and your deadlines and so on and so forth. So that's the best bit of advice I can give you. Hopefully the restrictions will ease a little bit and that you will then get into a scenario of being able to meet up, well, at distance, at live tutorials. And again, use that occasion not just as a learning ground, but also as a chance to, you know, wave at each other, chat to each other at distance, and to get to know each other. And that's going to be more important now than it ever was before. The tutorials were always a very good forum, if you like, for students interacting and meeting together in smaller groups because our lectures are very large. But now more than ever, it's going to be crucial. So I'd ask you to use that to the best of your ability. And, you know, you might be a little bit shy about, you know, jumping up and saying, well, I haven't got a clue what's going on, or I don't know anybody here, or I really hate doing the online learning. But, you know, take that leap, talk to somebody there and try to get to know each other, okay? It's the best we can really do in this scenario. So that's it. Yes, as Ron said, yeah, it's not difficult to graduate, but I do have a big caveat. Of course, you have to put in a little bit of work, okay? Consistently. All right, so this idea that, and it's very, very easy to fall into, and I know it, okay? I have kids of my own that have been doing the online learning, and this idea that, well, it's online, I can look at it later, and then suddenly another week has passed. So what's the point of me looking at last week's lectures now, because I might as well go to this week's lectures, but then I don't understand anything, okay? You've got to do a little bit of work consistently. That's all you've got to do, right? Clearly, the more work you do, the more you will get academically, at least, from your career in UCD. But by no means be under the illusion that within any of these modules that you can leave it till week 8 or 9 and then suddenly everything will slot into place. Okay, so from the get-go, a little bit every week is my recommendation. So I'm here to take any questions that you might have, either on the structure or any general queries that you might have. I may not know all the answers, but you know, I'll certainly find out any information that you're looking for. Okay, great to have you all, and I'll definitely see you on Wednesday 3.
So I'm going to jump in a couple of things that I should mention. You know, with COVID, a couple of things to be aware of. So first off, a lot of you may, when we get back on campus, a lot of you might be looking to take public transport. Public transport to UCD is always hell. Normally, you know, people are stuffed in like sardines. That's not going to happen now. And so you might really want to sort of plan ahead about, you know, how soon you need to leave in order to get to campus. So just be aware of that. That's likely to be more problematic than usual. The other thing is in all economics classrooms, when you are in the classroom, you are expected to wear a mask at all times, even if you are 2 meters apart. If you have a medical excuse that exempts you from wearing a mask, you are required to notify UCD. You should drop an email to the lecturer of the class to let them know as well that you have a medical exemption. But it is the expectation that everyone will wear a mask at all times in the classroom. So anyway, yeah, so questions. So just wondering about the modules. Do we need to do the maths module for economics?
The econ, sorry, am I muted? Oh yeah, the econ 10030, you do have to. If you've got the equivalent of an 03 or above in your leaving cert, you can take the econ 10030 quants module in semester 1. If you don't meet that requirement, but you still want to do economics, then you will have to do a preliminary mathematics module in semester 1. I'll be going through this all with you next week, and I'll pop the course outline up on Brightspace today or tomorrow, and it will articulate that. But everybody will have to do Econ 10030. Most of you will be doing it this semester, and some of you will be signing up to it next semester.
So just on the topic of math, I mean, people always do get sort of freaked out about the math in econ. The math is there, but the thing to remember is the math is only a way of telling the story. You know, in economics, we use graphs, we use words, we use math, all to get across the story that we're trying to explain. And if you approach it like that, it's a lot less daunting. So it's there, but there's lots of resources. One thing to be aware of is there is the, we're not supposed to call it the drop-in center anymore. What are we calling it now?
You know, but I much prefer the drop-in center, economic
Yeah,
support
it
center.
sounds like a meth lab.
I know, yeah, right, yeah. Economic support center is what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's going to be running online. So it's Monday through Thursday. I want to say from 4 to 6. Gavin Castles is going to be there. And basically you pop in and you just ask whatever questions you want, especially for the introductory first year module. So like if you have math questions, Gavin, I mean, he's super patient. He's really approachable and he should be able to help you out.
Any other questions?
Sam says, my timetable isn't showing any econ modules yet. Just wondering if that's the same.
Timetable.
I have no clue.
I would just email economics at UCD. Rodrigo is in charge of the undergraduate issues. He will get back to you.
So yeah, so our the timetable. I don't know. So, you know, for specific questions.
I think.
I'm sorry, back here. I think Kira froze in like the worst possible facial expression.
I think, yeah, so you're supposed to be popular. What?
You froze, Illinois.
You're supposed to be pre-registered into the first year quants and the introduction to economics, the principles of micro, principles of macro, and any other core economic modules you have. If that's not the case, I don't know, Rodrigo or Joanna or somebody can help you with that. Maybe you could check that, Joanna, could you?
Actually, like they should email economics at UCD. We can either help them via email or arrange a meeting. Just don't forget your student number. You can also use the contact form on a WooFu that's on our website. Just please remember your student number, okay?
So yeah, you know, this year, because of COVID, like everything else, things are a little bit more confused than they are typically. So, you know, I know there's a lot of things that have been delayed a little bit in terms of getting things up and running for the university. So if you're having trouble, email economics@ucd.ie and you know, Rodrigo will be able to help you out.
Yes, and if you have more serious problem, we can always arrange a Zoom or a Google Meet and talk to you like, well, nearly like in person. All right.
So I apologize. I have another meeting starting in a couple of minutes that I have to pop over to. I'm going to leave the meeting. Kira, are you going to stick around in case more questions pop up?
Yeah, I'll stick around for as long as people have questions here. So.
Okay. Anyway, you know, hopefully I get to see you guys in the flesh at some stage. Take care of yourselves, wash your hands, wear your mask, and good luck with it. Talk to you later. Bye.
See you on. Bye. Are there any electives in finance accounting available for economic students? I don't know that off the top of my head. There usually is. Each discipline usually has got some electives that are open. across the board. So you'll just have to check and see. So the idea is, once the timetable is up and running, and it looks like it's pretty systematic, that people haven't got their economics. Has anybody got their economics timetable yet? No. I see some not. So they obviously, all right, okay, good. Well, not good, but at least it's not an individual problem. Okay, I'm getting the message, lots of no's. Okay, that should be done now. And I'm actually going to chase it up as well with Rodrigo afterwards, because it's obviously a global issue. And once you see your timetable, then look to see what's available in terms of electives from everybody else. Okay. Yeah, so I do know, what I do know is that in the first semester, for those of you doing economics with another subject, we have got introduction to economics, and that's going to be taught by Frank Walsh and Vincent Hogan. One is doing the first, I think Frank is doing micro, and then Vincent's doing the macro. And then I'm going to be doing the introduction to quants. Oh, somebody says module registration opens at today at 2 or 12. Okay, so maybe that's it. It opened at 10:30, someone else said. Okay, so obviously the timetable this time tomorrow will be sorted out for everybody. Is there any limit on how many economics modules you can pick for module registration? Well, there are some restrictions. There are certain economics modules that aren't open to everybody, and they're like exploring economics, data analysis for economists and so economists and so on, and they're for individuals that are coming in on the denominated entry or doing single economics. Yeah, so some of those you can't join, so essentially in the first year, the only 4 that you can do, but you have to do, are principles of micro, principles of macro, intro to quants, and introduction to economics. They're level 1s. Okay. Would you advise having more credits? No, I wouldn't. I would advise you to do the 60 credits and do them well. It's quite a lot in each semester. Basically, you're talking about 6 modules. That's a lot of material to deal with, etc. And definitely, I would just do the minimum number of credits. Let's see. What is parking like on campus? Terrible. Normally, be in early is all I can say. If you're parking on campus, you have to buy a permit. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not. Are people aware of the fact that they have to get a permit and how to go about getting a permit? Okay, well, you do. Okay, so you should have, you can look up parking on campus, and there's a way to buy a permit for the year, but it gets very busy. My experience, if you haven't got a space in those car parks by, on most days, 9:20, then you're circling and you're literally people to leave, so get in early. Now, having said that, it could be very different this year. Okay, no, it's 60 credits per year, or per year, so that's the minimum number of credits. Can you do modules but not do exams? I would like to audit them. No, I don't think you can audit modules at an undergraduate level. That's my understanding. But you can take up a language as an elective if you wished. I don't have intro to quants in my bright space. Am I meant to have it? Well, once you're registered, okay, it looks like a lot of people haven't been registered into the economics modules, but once you're registered into intro to quants, you will have access to bright space on it, and I will put the materials up from that. Yes, I would recommend to an individual there who's switching to economics as one of the majors, wait till you get your timetable first for your subjects and before selecting your elective modules in case there's a clash. I would recommend that. I picked 2 modules like it told me to, 55. Will I pick more like you mean, is it? I think you mean 12 modules. You should, each module is at least 5 credits. If you've only 55 credits, then it may be a level 0 module, which don't count towards the credits. If you're doing a joint degree in the social science, economics and sociology, does it have to be 30 credits each, or could I do more in economics? No, it doesn't. In the first year, what you have to do in your economics, and all you can do in your first year in economics, are the 4 level 1 modules. So that's 20 credits actually from economics. You can't do more in the first year. This is a question to everybody. This person's registration for modules isn't open until 1 p.m. tomorrow. Is that the same for everyone? I don't know. Have you got a particular time telling you when it's open or not? That I don't know, Jack, but maybe some people will write back to you on that. Okay, when do you choose your modules by? The key thing here is that your core modules are going to be pre-populated, right? Which means that you're going to, they're going to be pre-populated with students that are registered to that subject, which means that if you're doing first year economics, you will be registered automatically into Introduction to Quants, Introduction to Economics, and Principles of Micro and Principles of Macro. So you will have a space there. Okay, so some people are saying everyone, okay, looks like everybody's registration opens up at different times. Apparently, I didn't realize that was the way. It's obviously to stop a crash in the system. Okay, any module that somebody's asked, are there any modules I'd recommend? I mean, that clearly is going to depend upon individuals. You know, definitely, I presume you're doing the subjects you're interested in. It's much easier to work at subjects that you're interested in, and the same goes for electives. Is there much essay writing in economics? That's actually quite a good question. In the first year, there is not a huge amount of essay writing. There is one other economics module. What's it called? First year economics module. Economics of some, I can't think of it, where last year, given the lockdown and given the restrictions, there were essays presented for the first time. Now, when you go into second year and later third year, there's more essay writing involved. I teach Irish economy in second year, and a lot of essay writing involved there. So it very much depends upon the nature of the module. I don't know where you see the module registration time, I'm sorry, but people are saying you get an email with it. When you're picking a module on registration, is there a breakdown of what's in the module, or can that be found on the UCD website? Because I don't necessarily see what students see when they're registering, I can't answer that for sure, but I think that you are supposed to be able to get information on the module descriptor, which basically tells you what the module is about, and forms of assessment and so on and so forth. But maybe somebody else who has already registered can clarify that. It's on your SysWeb in registration, someone says. Will there be much overlap with Leaving Cert Economics? Oh yeah, now that's actually, I'm going to answer that in a different way. Oftentimes what people ask is it a disadvantage or an advantage to have done Leaving Cert Economics, right? It's an advantage insofar as you understand the lingo and you understand the concepts and the basics of it. But after the first few weeks in micro and indeed in macro, there's a big convergence in terms of people that have done economics in the Leaving Cert and people that have not, okay? We basically presume that individuals have got no economics coming into UCD, and that's why we have this Introduction to Economics module in the first semester. And clearly, if you've done economics in the Leaving Cert, you'll be familiar with terms such as demand and supply functions, and shifts in demand functions and utility functions, and so on and so forth. But we teach it from the basics, basically. So we assume zero knowledge, and then we work up from that, which means that it's accessible to all individuals, and you're certainly not at a disadvantage if you haven't done it for the Leaving Cert. Okay, but there's clearly going to be an overlap to some degree, at least in the initial weeks. And there's that question again. Advice for students who didn't do Leaving Cert Economics. Again, we presume that everybody has got no economics. We don't presume any economics knowledge coming in. And the advice is the same advice that I gave at the outset, which is that keep up to date with the curriculum and do a little bit every single week on your on all of your modules. Yes, the online lectures are going to start next week, okay? So your lecturing schedule, if you like, is going to start in week 2 of term, all right? I've only been assigned to you for Intro to Quants 1 contact hour, and that's at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. And I'll be putting up on Brightspace. I'm going to be doing it over Zoom, and I'm going to put up on Brightspace how you can join the meeting, if you like, on Zoom. But it's starting next week, and all the materials, etc., for each module will start to come onto Brightspace from next week on throughout the trimester. Okay. All right, so hopefully I didn't miss out on some key questions. An awful lot of the questions are to do with registration. I'm really sorry I haven't been much help on that. Yeah, hopefully I managed to get a few others. Somebody has said, will we be emailed links to our lectures? Every lecturer is doing things differently. So some people, for example, are going to meet in the virtual rooms in Brightspace, the virtual classrooms. I'm going to use Zoom, and rather than sending links out every single week and so on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a recurring meeting, and you'll have a meeting ID and a meeting password. So you download your Zoom or whatever, and then you go join meeting, and they'll go, what's the meeting ID? And you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they go, what's the password? And then you put in what your password is, and it will be the same for every single Wednesday. But I'll put that on Brightspace, and I'll indeed email it out before the first meeting. How will the lectures be structured? I'm not quite sure what you mean by how they'll be structured, because you won't have lectures for all modules. Normally, under normal circumstances, each module has got 2 hours of lectures a week, and then we work through the curriculum, right? Everything is kind of done online this time. So what I've been given is 1 hour contact a week. Now, what I'm planning is that the tutorials and the meeting with the tutors are going to be a key part of your face-to-face interaction within the module. They go over kind of key concepts that we're covering, and then they'll work through a few specific problems as well. The lecturing slot, rather than me going through a whole bunch of lecture slides, will be that I am going to go through again the key, technique, if you like, the key points of a particular quantitative technique that we're using, and then we're going to do some kind of problem-based learning, okay? So it's a little bit flipped. But that's not going to be the same for every lecture, so that's what I can say to people. Are there any textbooks you need for economics? Okay, yes, there will be a textbook. There'll be a recommended textbook for each module. But I'm going to put up my, once you register, you get into Brightspace, you'll find the information on Econ 10030 there. I'd advise you to get access to the textbooks. For my module, you can use earlier editions. The library have got tons of copies of the textbook on earlier editions, and there may also be some ebook versions available through the library, and I'll check that out for my module. What do we need for economics? Just a laptop and some copies. Okay. Yeah, well, I suppose, yeah, and some pens maybe. Yeah, so you definitely need access to a device, okay, a computer or a phone or a tablet or something. And because you need to be able to access your Brightspace and all the materials, and you need to be able to access Zoom sessions and so on and so forth. Depending upon the module, you may be recommended a core text. And again, as I said, you should ideally have access to that textbook where possible, either on an online version or a physical version. And of course, secondhand copies are also available. People get to register for modules before the spaces cannot be filled for your core modules, okay? So you're guaranteed a spot in all the core modules for economics. Economics internship opportunities in third year. I deal with economics internships for the masters. I don't deal with it for undergraduates, but there are economics internship opportunities for undergraduates in the third year of the degree program. And there's a designated person in the college who deals with those things. Okay, do you have any other questions? No, okay. I'm sorry if I didn't answer a particular question. They're coming in at a fast and furious rate here, so I tried to keep track of them as I was scrolling down. As I said, your biggest problem here appears to be registration, but my understanding from the comments that are coming back in is that they seem to have staggered registration, and that's to prevent, presumably, too much pressure on the system at one time. Don't worry about getting spaces for your core modules associated with your subjects. You're guaranteed spaces within the core modules for your subjects. Okay. As soon as you register, you should get access to Brightspace, and all the information pertaining to your module should be available on Brightspace. All right, I'll probably sign off now. Again, just to remind, I'm going to just write down my I'll just try and write down an email. I'm just going to write my email address here, kira.whelan@ucd.ie. So if you have any other questions that you think of later, feel free to email me with those questions. Okay, I'll see you all next Wednesday at 3 p.m. and have a good first induction week to college. Take care, stay safe.